So this is just by the way, if you have like clear skin without doing anything to maintain it, you, my friend, are very blessed, more than you think. Because for some of us, the stress that we have to go through, the stress, and even with that, if this is your first time of seeing any of my videos, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Mercy and I'm a nurse in the UK. You're welcome to subscribe to the channel and to ring the notification bell to join the family. Over here we talk about immigration matters, maybe new updates in the UK. If you plan on moving to the UK or Ireland, do well to subscribe to the channel. And to my lovely subscribers, thank you very much for staying subscribed to this channel and for supporting me through and through. Yeah, so in today's video I'm going to be talking about how to join the UK Army, and I'll talk briefly on how to do that as a nurse and how to do that as any other person. Okay, and if that is something you want to do, maybe you have plans of being an army officer or a soldier in the future, save this video and watch this video through to the end to know what are the steps that you need to follow and to know the eligibility criteria, to have an idea about how much you'll be receiving in like such a post.
I don't wanna see the way you fall apart. Even though you told me to get back your heart, I still spin inside your orbit. Yeah.
Welcome back to the video. So before I get into the video, let me briefly explain these three terms. That is reserve, regular, and priority. So if you're applying a job as a reserve, you're applying as part-time, and if you're applying as regular, you're applying as full-time, and if you're applying as priority, you're applying to be hired immediately. Like these jobs are, or these vacancies are like positions that need to be filled ASAP. Okay, so those are the three main terms that you have to know during your application. So when it comes to the army, you have the opportunity of either applying as a soldier or an army officer, and in the case of nurses, you may even start your application before you start your university degree, and sometimes when you're in the third year, as long as you know that when you complete school you are going to be a soldier or an officer. So who at all is eligible to apply to the army? If you're British, you are eligible. If you're Irish, you are eligible. If you're from any of the Commonwealth countries, you are eligible. And you know the Commonwealth countries are some countries in Africa, some countries in Asia, and some countries in the Caribbean. Yeah, I think so. If you've forgotten, go and revise your social studies notes about what Commonwealth countries are. But I do know that Ghana and Nigeria and Kenya and I think Uganda are Commonwealth countries, and also Jamaica, then there's India, there's Pakistan. Go and revise your Commonwealth countries. Okay, if you're from any of these Commonwealth countries, you are eligible as long as you've been in the UK for 5 years and above, or you've got permit to live indefinitely in the UK. So aside those ones, the other eligibility criteria is that you don't have to have tattoos above your collar, and that all the tattoos that you have do not have any offensive messages or are not offensive. Also, you do not have to have a criminal conviction or a criminal record. Okay, another thing is that you don't have to have a medical condition. You know how this job is, you don't need to have any medical condition, and they'll do their checks because they'll need a medical record from you. Also, you have to have enough funds, especially if you are from the Commonwealth countries, or prove to them that you can sponsor yourself throughout the process. And another thing is that your passport has to have at least 3 years before its expiration date. Another important criteria is that you have to be registered with NMC. Now, if you're already working, then you must have been registered with NMC because you're already working and you have experience. Okay, but if you're in school, you need to have plans of being registered with the NMC on completion. All right, guys, so now let's look at the main differences between being a soldier and being an officer. If you're an army officer, it means that you've achieved certain higher education qualifications as compared to a soldier who hasn't. You may have a degree, you may have done your PhD, or you may have specialized in your field. Okay, so you would hold certain educational qualifications as compared to a soldier, and because of that, you'll be holding leadership positions in the army. And if you're a nurse officer, that is an officer that is a nurse, you'd hold leadership position in nursing as well as in the army. And if you're a nurse soldier, you would follow the normal nursing career pathway. Okay, and also soldiers may lead a team of say 4 other soldiers, but with officers they may lead a team of 30 soldiers, and these 30 soldiers may include maybe paramedics or people from other teams coming together to form those 30 people. And I can only liken it to like being a band 5 nurse and being like a band 6 nurse and a matron, because when you're a band 6 nurse or a matron, you would hold leadership position, you do other managerial and leadership duties as well as the nursing duties. And if you are just a band 5, you are doing your normal nursing duties. So that's how I'll relate it to. So I did mention that you can apply right before you even start your university degree, or you can wait to work and have some experience before applying to join the army. So it depends on which pathway you want to choose. And if you apply after you've had experience and as a soldier, you'll be called an adult nurse soldier. And if you apply after you gain certain qualifications to be an officer, you'll be called an adult nurse officer, and you'll be working in the hospital, and you can be working on the field. You can travel to other countries and work together with other teams from different countries and all that. Basically, you'll be a nurse but as a soldier and in the army. All right, now let's look at the pathway to being an army officer. First of all, you have to be between the ages of 21 to 54 years old, and then you have to apply online. They'll ask you questions about yourself where you're going to answer, then you're going to be selected to sit for an interview. So after the interview, you're going to go through to meet a board called Army Officer Selection Board. I think it's called Army Officer Selection Board, or AOSB. Now, there are two things that you're going to be doing with this board. You're going to have a briefing with the board, and during the briefing they are going to assess you, physically and practically. You're going to go through certain exercises. They're going to teach you certain things about yourself. Okay, then after that you go and meet the main board where you're going to put into practice these things, and they will assess you what you learned during the briefing. So some of the things that you'll be having during the briefing is they'll assess you cognitively and mentally, make sure they are fit to continue. They'll be assessing you physically, and if you are a nurse officer, some of the fitness tests that you'll be going through is they'll ask you to pull up a 50 kg weight mid-thigh, to the middle of your thigh. Okay, another thing is they'll ask you to lift a ball called the medicine ball and throw it to at least a 2.7 meter distance. Okay, and there's another thing called the beep test, and this is a form of running test. So these are some of the physical fitness tests that you'll be asked to go through or you'll be assessed on. So you do these physical fitness tests during the briefing, then you move ahead to the main board, and now the main board will assess you based on what you did during the briefing, and they will determine whether you are physically and mentally fit to continue. So after the main board passes you, you receive your offer of employment. After that, you have to go through a short pre-commissioning course called Transition to Military Practice course. Now, if you are a nurse officer, you now have to go through preceptorship and rotation in a joint hospital group. I can only liken a joint hospital group to like a military hospital, like normal NHS hospital with like military presence. Okay, that is where you go and you have like normal caseload of patients, you attend to patients, and you rotate through the various aspects of the hospital: surgery, medicine, intensive care, all of it. Okay, you have your normal rotation. But if you're not a nurse officer, you now start your 44 weeks at Sandhurst, which is like normal military training. Now let's look at the pathway to becoming a soldier. So to become a soldier, first of all, you've got to apply online, then you've got to go through to a briefing. No interview at this point, just a briefing. So when you go through to the briefing, they are going to give you a personal development plan to help you be able to pass your assessment. At the assessment, you're going to have medical assessments, you're going to have physical assessments, you're going to have mental assessments. Okay, you're going to have group activities, then they're going to have group discussions with you where they are going to be discussing what roles best will fit you as a soldier. So after the assessment, they are going to do extra background checks on you, and they are going to offer you employment, and then depending on what role you settled on during the assessment, that's what you are going to be training for specifically. All right guys, so those were the pathways to being a soldier and an officer. If you want to be a nurse soldier and a nurse officer, the only difference is that you would have to do your preceptorship and rotation in the hospital, or a military hospital to be specific. you would have to go through all the wards to specialize in all of the areas, like trauma and orthopedic, emergency, surgery, and all of those areas. So that's the only difference. Now let's look at how much you'll be receiving as a soldier and an officer. So according to the UK Army website, if you are a soldier, you're going to be receiving 16,844 during your initial training, and then you receive 32,076 pounds per annum after completion, and officers receive 28,861 pounds during their training and 35,744 pounds minimum after commissioning, depending on their qualifications, okay, and their experience. Okay guys, so those were the pathways to being a soldier and an officer, or a nurse soldier and a nurse officer. Don't forget that these roles can be demanding, and so you have to prepare your mind for that. For example, with the nurses, you can be sent to the field to care for like war casualties and all that, okay, so you have to prepare your mind. But there are good things to the role in that they'll sponsor you to further your education to the master's level or even above, and you get to travel outside the country, you get to go on trips, you get to participate in sports, okay. So there are good things to the role, but basically this is everything that you need to know for now, and I hope I've been able to paint a very good picture for you, at least give you an idea of what it is like to join the army. If this is something you want to do, then start preparing your mind and start your preparation with the eligibility criteria. Now you know if you're not qualified, you start working towards being qualified, and I'm sure you make a good nurse soldier or a nurse officer. Also, thank you for watching and sticking with me to this part of the video, and if you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe to join the family, and don't forget to ring the notification bell, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
I don't wanna see the way you fall apart. Even though you told me take it back your heart, I still spin inside your orbit.